Women.
I think I did it again.
With a highly attuned, finely sharpened charismatic skill, dangerous psychological warfare saboteur skills, and a pain threshold high enough to put a grizzly bear to shame. Couple this up with an unmatched emotional intellect and the ability to stop another human being in their tracks like a love-struck statue. This mysterious, conniving, Medusa-like being is just one sentence away from just a quick flip of the switch to turn total bitch. Which is why even a single altercation with a woman will not only end in your tragic, painful defeat, but you'll be left scarred and wounded on levels you didn't even know existed. Levels you pushed down and suppressed as a young boy, but are only able to be resurrected and re-wounding by this gorgeous, maniacal giver of life. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't feel we've celebrated women enough here on my channel, mainly because modern film society's take on a woman as of late is nothing but an obnoxious, compliment-demanding, alpha man belittling activist, with about as much flaws as an AI-written English paper. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Matilda, 90s Trinity, Queen Amidala, Britney Spears, Halle Berry, Cameron Diaz, Sonya Blade, Misty from Pokemon, Jessie from Team Rocket, Powerpuff Girls, The Pink Ranger, Galaxy Quest's Sigourney Weaver, China the Wrestler, PS1's Tomb Raider. What do all these women have in common? They're all strong, well-crafted, powerful female characters that didn't get the modern-day treatment of getting completely shafted in every aspect of character development. They're proper protagonists. I recognize and admire these finely crafted characters' power, motivation, and strength. This video was meant to highlight the women of the 90s that had just as big of an impact on the millions of millennials growing up during this golden age of Hollywood. This is real girl power. Sure, maybe times were just a little different before when these women were marketed sexually, but they had to have a certain sex appeal attached to them. These women were much more than that, and everyone knew it. The sex appeal was just standard for the times. Sex sells. And it brought on all the dumb, horny audience, which didn't make up for an entire fan base, I assure you. Nowadays, it's a little different when it comes to cosplay and hentai shit, but hey, there's a fetish for everyone out there. I know some of you may disagree here, but social media is not a measurement of life experience or even talent for that matter. Before all this bullshit, these women were pioneers in the industry. Social media didn't exist then. They measured their talent with work ethic and reputation, and how they gave back to the world, and how they inspired others. You could do all that, cast a wide net over a large audience, and get all of that done without any kind of social media. It had a deeper, more meaningful impact on people. It was more intimate. I've said this before, but now with social media, movie stars are not what they used to be, and the definition of one has completely diminished. Back to the pioneers of the industry, like I was saying, before all that bullshit, and they all had their own very unique and original traits for that time. And that's exactly what made them so interesting, badass, likable, powerful, and classic girl power heroes that are responsible for a lot of the shit that we see today, even though it's been mucked up and fucked up like a game of telephone played by a bunch of illiterates. I want to revisit Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was such a badass, and she was often spoken of in the same breath in her time as Dracula and Blade. She had such an impact on boys and girls around the planet, and what's painfully ironic is that her male counterpart spin-off show, Angel, was the move that ultimately undid the entire franchise and caused the death of this beloved sci-fi character and all of her adventures to come. Buffy, we'll never forget about you. If you were growing up in the 90s, the Pink Ranger was your crush. It was a universally accepted thought. She was the planet's crush for some time. And Pink Ranger, we will never forget about you. You were in so many of our sick, nasty, young boy wet dreams. Speaking of some of the sex symbols, I know we were young boys, 10 years old, and we had these crazy thoughts about these young women growing up. But I gotta say, going back to Galaxy Quest's Sigourney Weaver, she was pretty hot in her heyday. Putting hot aside, she was a complete badass in the Alien movies, and she completely stole the show, and she became a female action hero, right next to and even beyond the likes of Sarah Connor. Sigourney Weaver at one point was the pinnacle of female action heroes, and she doesn't get enough credit for that. Especially seeing as how Jennifer Lawrence seems to believe she's the first female action hero. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Hunger Games are definitely more of a drama narrative than an action narrative. And don't correct me because I'm not wrong. Sigourney Weaver paved the way for so many female actresses today, and she doesn't demand the credit she's owed. No. She doesn't need to, because the true OGs already know that she is a real woman that made Hollywood, one of the pioneers of her industry. And Sigourney, if no one's gonna give you credit, I'll take the time here on my channel to give it to you, because fuck, you deserve it. A lot of times in today's society, the wrong people get praised and are given the power to influence others. They squander it by using their said power to send their own message, and not one for the greater good or for others' benefit, but for their own. Now sometimes it's a case of them lacking the intellect, and other times it's a case of them being completely selfish with their own agenda. That, my fellow consumer, is for you to decide. Rick Sanchez couldn't have said it better. Everyone wants who they like to be right, and that's why popular people are fucking dumb. Now just because you're rich, famous, and you're creative doesn't make you right about anything other than that which lies in the realm of your professional knowledge. Every single one of these women that I named played a role in shaping me and cinema. And well, ladies, thank you from the bottom of my heart, as a filmmaker, and just as a millennial growing up in the 90s. Thank you. I think it's really important to pay respects where it's owed, no matter the sex, race, age, country of origin, or views and opinions. Creativity recognizes creativity. Enough said. Alright, well the video's over. So, until next time, I guess. Bye for now.